Anything podcast with Miss Somy Ali. Welcome, Somy.
Thank you for having me. I'm ready to answer anything.
Great. So, Somy, you've been an actress, activist, and founder of No More Tears. You've lived many lives from Bollywood stardom to American academia, from filmmaking to humanitarian work. You've rescued over 50,000 lives. So today you're here to answer anything and everything. So let's begin.
Let's go.
Okay, so question. Hero worship and so first of all, why the red turtleneck?
Oh, well, according to Indian journalists named Simi and Ujawal, I think, I had cancer, I'm mentally ill, and I had plastic surgery, and I'm an alcoholic. All four at the same time is what I recently heard. But all jokes aside, I would never make a joke about cancer. Obviously, they would, and obviously, I take it that they were paid to say so, which is disgusting to make a joke and to even lie about something as serious as cancer, which runs in our family. And for them to make a to even lie about it is absolutely unfathomable to me. But I did have surgery. I had a tumor and it was removed. And the doctor's orders are that I have to always have the air conditioning on very, very cold until my stitches are removed. So that's why I'm freezing in my own home, but because I have to have the air conditioning cold. But these journalists just make up stuff, and I'm apparently for doing four things at the same time: plastic surgery, I have cancer, I'm mentally ill, and I do drugs. I'm an alcoholic, all that stuff that they've been paid to say, and I know that they've been paid by whom they've been paid to say this. I know that also, but let's leave that where it is, and let their karma get to them, because I know a lot of people that are close to me that have had this horrible disease, and it shows their character for them to be even have the audacity to lie about my having cancer. It shows, it reflects upon them. It has nothing to do with me, and I'll let their karma get to them. I don't really care.
Wow. So speaking of which, I mean, Indian media, Bollywood, publicist firms, are they complicit? I mean, literally in Bollywood, one superstar claims he doesn't eat beef while being convicted of killing a black buck, which is considered sacred by a certain group. Do you think Indian media and audiences are complicit in this hypocrisy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you're, look, if you're a superstar or a politician or a businessman who has money and fame and power, if businessmen don't really have fame, but they have money and power, but actors, and particularly in industries such as Hollywood and Bollywood, if they have money, wealth, and power and fame, they can get away with anything. Look at O.J. Simpson. He got away with murder until he didn't. And he was put in jail for stealing his own memorabilia, which is ridiculous. And then he passed away. But yeah, in India, if you're, one of the Khans, you can get away with anything, and people will worship you like you are an actual god, and they dismiss any wrongdoings that you do because they are so severely starstruck that Indian fans are very different from American fans, and American fans will go to a Brad Pitt and tell him to go to hell. But in India, they actually build statues. There's an actress named Khushbu from South India, and they actually made a god statue out of her, and they worship it. And that's the kind of fandom that goes on in India for Bollywood actors. So it's beyond comprehension for me seeing the comparison between Hollywood fandom and Bollywood fandom, they're like night and day in some instances, but then they're alike in many instances.
Well, speaking about Hollywood, we saw that Mike Tyson, he's a convicted rapist. He actually spent time in prison. And yet, he's been resuscitated. He's been in movies. He's even been talked about being brought into Bollywood TV shows last month. I mean, how does Indian TV shows justify having convicted criminals moralize about society? I mean, isn't that kind of hypocrisy as well?
Well, Mike Tyson is not only a rapist, but he also beat Robin Givens, his ex-wife, and he's a domestic violence abuser. So, again, I reiterate that it doesn't matter for Indian fans what the person has done. What they care about is, for example, this show that you're talking about. I believe it's called uh, if I'm not mistaken, it's called Rise and Fall, where Mike Tyson is going to be on, if I'm not mistaken, or is it Big?
No, I think there was one called Big Boss that has a convicted criminal hosting it, and then the Rise and Fall has someone that's has FIRs for fraud
Right.
of close to $10 million, and yet they're almost like using the TV show as a laundromat to clean their sins. It's unbelievable.
Right. So, like I said, it doesn't matter what the actor has done, be it a male or a female. It's mostly males in that part of the world because I've lived in it. I've watched it. I've experienced it. I was there from the age of 16 to almost 25, and I saw things that I mean, I can't unsee them. They were so horrible. But the point in cases again, many of these fans are female, and they are obsessed with these actors, and these actors can do no wrong. So it's like it's almost as if you're blaming a higher power or God, for lack of a better term, like you're putting a blame on God in their eyes because they're so mesmerized and they're so hypnotized by the stardom of these actors that they in their minds they cannot commit murders or rapes or beat up women. They think that these people can do no wrong. And it's very, very difficult to convert and change that kind of thinking, especially when, I'm sorry to say this, a lot of the people that are following these actors and are fans of these actors are not very well educated, and they are not the elitist or the intellectual group members. They are actually the masses, and the masses are what makes Indian cinema, coined as Bollywood, which is actually Hindi cinema. That's the masses is what makes them stars. The masses is what makes them who they are. So if the masses deem them to be God, God can't do any wrong. So if you have the majority on your side, you are bound to win inevitably. No matter what crime you commit, they're going to protect you and they will troll any human being that goes against that particular individual who's committed a crime.
No, it's amazing that, the cons you mentioned, they're all 60 years old or close to it, which is not a young age. I mean, not to be ageist, but how can they be the love interest with movies that have 25-year-old ladies? I mean, isn't that kind of disgusting?
For me it is, but not for India, not for Bollywood. The love the fans for the three Khans is so strong that it overshadows and supersedes the fact that they're acting with girls that are old enough to be their daughters. Now that's something we can't take away because the masses again come in, and the masses are the majority who makes them who made them and still continues to make them who they are. They don't want to let go. They do not want to let, it's like a child having a security blanket and who just refuses to sleep without it. And these fans are the same. They don't believe that any of these people, be it I mean, I'll take a random name like Akshay Kumar. I don't know him personally. I don't know much about him, but just for hypothetically speaking, if he is responsible of doing something, bad, they worship him and they will refuse to believe that it was him who did it. So that's how strong. There's so much strength in their fandom that the stardom cannot be deleted or eradicated because there's too much power from the majority. And when you have the majority, you know what happens then. I mean, we're seeing it in our country, in America, what happens when majority rules.
Now, these men in particular are not highly educated, compared to your academic credentials. You've lived different lives from Bollywood, academia, activism. Which one prepared you the most?
I would have to say that education, um, and my mentor, Dr. William Hammock, who was like a father to me. I spent 8 hours a day on Saturdays and 8 hours on Sundays on the weekends studying with him. He was my stats professor, but he taught me things, general knowledge things that I didn't know. And I would also include Bollywood because I was exposed from a very young age, I would say from the age of 4, when I actually lived in the country I was born in Pakistan. I was exposed to some horrific things, and in Bollywood, I was exposed to furthermore horrific things. And then when I came to America, after I started No More Tears, I've seen things that I wish I could make them unseen, but I can't. So it's all over the world. Wherever there are human beings, there's going to be violence and malice and lies, and just there's going to be bad. Wherever there is a human being in whatever country, whichever region, whichever nation, it doesn't matter. But yes, in third world countries like India and Pakistan, it's easier to get away with murder, literally.
Wow. Now, what made you walk away from Bollywood at the height of your career?
Well, I wanted to get married and have children, and the person I was involved with was having an affair. So I decided to leave, and I decided that I'm a ninth grade dropout. I need to go back home to America and finish up my, get my general education diploma and then start and get in college and get my degrees. That was my plan because I wanted to start a nonprofit since I was a kid. I always wanted to help people, and this is not me being altruistic. There's nothing altruistic about any human being in this world. We all do things that make us happy or make us feel good. So if I rescue a victim who's a child or a woman or someone who belongs to the LGBTQ plus AI community or a man who's abused or whatever, it's because it makes me feel good. There's nothing selfless about I'm not a saint. There's nothing selfless about doing this work. It's very draining, but it's also very gratifying because once they're under our care, I can guarantee that they will never be abused again under my watch and under our organization's watch, and they will only thrive and do well. And we have saved over 50,000 lives, and we're going to hit in 2026 will be our 19th year of being in existence.
Now, it's amazing you said I'm not a saint. Now, someone did become a saint out of Calcutta, and the irony is her charity is no longer considered a valid charity under Indian government because of transparency rules. How is your charity more transparent?
Well, we let our donors know. We actually invite our donors to our holiday party every December. We don't have a Christmas party because we have victims of all faiths, or we have atheists who are victims. So we have a holiday party, and we invite our donors to attend that holiday party, which takes place every December. And our donors get to meet the survivors, interact with them. They get to go and to our safe house and give them donations personally and meet with them and talk with them and hear their stories. And not only that, we have channel 6, channel 4, channel 10. I think we're pretty saturated when it comes to local media about No More Tears. We had a show called Fight or Flight on Discovery Plus and Amazon Prime, and where we had 10 victims whose stories were covered, and one of them was myself, and then there were human trafficking victims, there were domestic violence victims. Unfortunately, the show was on air for 2 months because Discovery Plus was merging with Time Warner at the time, and they had to kill 9 shows. And one of the out of the 9 shows, one of them was Fight or Flight, so it was bad timing for us. But we lost. We had a 3-year contract, but we lost the time of having another 2 years, or even letting the our first episode, our first show, the whole series, 10 episodes airing for more than 2 months. It was taken off air and Discovery Plus and Amazon Prime. And then there was some hindrance for cease and desist the show from someone from India who wasn't happy with the content about my being a survivor and my speaking and sharing my truth. So they made it possible via an attorney to send a cease and desist letter to cancel the show, and intertwined with the fact that they were merging with Time Warner, and they had to cancel 9 shows. At least that's what I was told by Tim Bainey, the executive director of Discovery Plus. But who knows what really happened? All I know is that our show was canceled. We had signed a 3-year contract, and it never happened.
Wow. Now, your NGO has rescued over 50,000 survivors. What case still haunts you the most?
Oh boy, it's hard to, it's every case is special for me in its own way because my mom's a survivor of domestic violence, and I grew up in that, and then I'm a survivor of many things, which I won't get into right now. But I would have to say there was this one case about almost 8 or 10 years ago. It was a child who was kidnapped in Miami. Pardon me. She was 4 years old, and she was sold into a human trafficking sex ring. And she was made to sleep with more than 30 men a day. And when we were able to rescue her, she was about to turn 5, and she was doing actually on her way to recovery. She was taken to the hospital. She was doing well. She asked me what my favorite color was, and I told her it was red because I love red. That's why our logo also for No More Tears is red. Red's always been my favorite color. And she drew me a painting, and it was a red gown. It was the back of me with my hair when my hair was black back then. And it was a gown was red, and for a 5-year-old to draw that painting, I mean, it, the unfortunate part is that when I went to visit her in the ER because her health was deteriorating, and I was holding her like in my lap, and she looked up at me and she said, Miss Somy. She used to call me Miss Somy, and she said, am I going to die? And I said, no, sweetheart, you're not going to die. You're going to be fine. You're going to be just fine. And that's exactly when I saw her eyes closing, and there was a flat line on the monitor, and she passed away. And I, to this day, I have dreams about her, and I can never forget. I have the painting in my room, and I look at it every morning. And human trafficking is a very, very serious crime. It's growing exponentially, rapidly, and it's even taking over the drug industry, because you can do cocaine once, but you can use a man, woman, or a child again and again, and they don't treat these people as human beings. They treat them as commodities or products, and they keep selling them. So this child, when she passed away, it took a real toll on me. And I had to get therapy, even though I have a degree in, degrees in psychology, and as a therapist, I still had to get I had to get therapy because I couldn't get over that child's passing away, and I still get choked up when I think about it. But that was by far the worst experience in No More Tears that I've had in having run this organization for 18 years.
Wow. Now, when you arrange reunions, and I know you've done a few where women or ladies are enticed from India or elsewhere for jobs, be it on social media, so they come to the US thinking they're coming for some good job, but unfortunately they're sex trafficked, and then you've rescued some, and then you've even reunited these girls to speak with their mother after years. What goes through your heart when you see these reunions occur in front of you?
It makes me tear up, but I'm trained to keep that, separate. I'm trained to keep my work separate from how I'm feeling personally, and it takes a lot out of me to contain myself and not to tear up. But when a girl is brought here from Mumbai and she's sold into human trafficking, and she's assuming she's going to get a job, but she's actually walking into a house where there are traffickers waiting for her. When we get her out, and she's reunited with her family, even over a telephone call to India, to Mumbai or Delhi, or even a place like Bhatinda, or villages in India. They come from rural areas, they come from everywhere, cities, it doesn't matter. But to that phone call of reunification is unbelievable. It's hard to describe that. You have to be there to see what goes on in that conversation, because the parents have been assuming that the child, their daughter or their son, has died, or is kidnapped and is somewhere being held and being tortured and tormented, which is the latter is true. They are tortured and tormented. No child or no little girl or little boy his dream is to grow up and be sold into a human trafficking ring and be raped repeatedly, consistently. And let me say this: it's very important for the world to know that the Johns are known as the customers who buy and pay for these children or young adults, women, or be it men, or be it members of our LGBTQ plus AI community. They are police officers, they're Department of Homeland Security officers, they're lawyers, they're judges, they're businessmen, they're Uber drivers, they're convenience store owners. It's everyone. You can't put a label on it who these Johns are. So there are women that also pay to have sex with children, and they're pedophiles, of course. And now the human traffickers, for the past, I think, 6 7 years, have been using female recruiters, which makes my job and the law enforcement and the FBI's job harder, because women are more likely to listen to and believe other women than men. And so when they're FaceTiming and talking to a woman, let's say from India in Miami, and the woman is offering them a job, they assume that this is real. And the recruiter, is dressed professionally. It's a whole scam how they email them a ticket to come to Miami or New York or wherever. I mean, we've rescued victims that were sold all the way from Australia, brought to Miami, and then we reunited them with their parents in Australia. We paid for their ticket to go back to Australia. So it's a big conundrum, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon unless, just like the drug industry, unless someone really starts caring. The problem is that innately and just as human beings we're born selfish, but there's a line of being selfish. Yes, put the oxygen mask on you first. Yes, I agree with that 100%. If I wasn't well, I couldn't do my work. I have to be well in order to do what I do, psychologically and physically. But at the same time, if I'm in a position to help other people, why would I not do that? It blows my mind that there are so many successful actors and celebrities, be it Hollywood, be it Italy, be it wherever, Australian actors, whichever country, who have so much money and they don't use their Instagram everything is Instagram now. There's nothing else, that it's all Instagram, which is bizarre in its own itself. But many of them don't use their platform to do good. I've seen Shahrukh has an organization called Mir Foundation. He does some good work. I know Akshay Kumar has given a lot to charity. I don't know if he has an organization or an NGO, but I know Akshay Kumar has given a lot to charity. There are some who do, and they do it without advertising it. And either you can tell people you do it or you don't do it. It doesn't matter as long as you do something. Rather than just posting, yourself doing a yoga position. I think there's more to life than that as far as social media is concerned.
Now, if you had to go back and speak to your 15-year-old self, because ironically, I believe you did board a plane and fly across the world to become a model, an actress, what would you tell the young Somi if, in hindsight now?
Well, I left here when I was about to turn 16. I left Florida and went to Mumbai. I didn't go there to become an actor at all. I ended up, call it fate. I ended up acting with the biggest A-listers of Bollywood, and it's just that's what fate is, right? That was in my destiny. But I actually had a crush on an actor, and I went to India. Our brain doesn't fully develop till we're 25, and for men, it's 26. I've actually seen a brain develop, that's a developed brain and an undeveloped brain, a teenage brain and a 26-year-old brain. I've seen it in college and university when I was studying for psychology and broadcast journalism and filmmaking and stuff. But during psychology, they showed us a underdeveloped brain and a developed brain, and it's like night and day what the brain looks like. So if you are 16 years old, I forgive myself because I had the license to do every stupid thing in the world, and I did every stupid thing in the world. And I don't have any regrets because it's already done and it's already happened. And had it not happened, there wouldn't be a No More Tears. So one has to, have an attitude of gratitude. And in spite of the horrific things that if one learns about would be aghast and would not probably believe me and think I'm making it all up. I've already had some trolls trolling me and saying that I'm lying. Like I told you, Simi, actually, the journalist, I really liked her. She used to come, the first 2 years of my in India, I used to stay in a hotel called Sirak Hotel, which is no longer there. They built a hotel called Todd Taj Land's End or something there. But Simi has actually used to come and visit me at that hotel, and she was very, very nice. So I was quite shocked when she said, I had cancer and plastic surgery, and I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I'm mentally unstable and crazy. I mean, all of those five things all simultaneously in one were laughable, but I did not like the fact that she brought in cancer in whatever she was paid to say. And I know she was paid to say all that stuff because she was a very, very nice person. Those are my memories of her. I don't know this Ujawal guy. I don't know. I don't remember him. Maybe I did meet him. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But again, I have no regrets. Whatever happened to me, whatever I experienced from the age 4 till now, and you can't undo it, right? So there's no point in just keep saying, why did I do this? Why did I go to India? I was so stupid. No, I was a child. I was a teenager with an underdeveloped brain, and the minute I turned almost 25, I took off and came back to America, and I did what I needed to do, and I started my charity. So I have no regrets, and I would tell my 15-year-old self that you did what you thought was right. And believe it or not, I had a dream. Um, it all started from a dream. I watched a movie of this actor. Then I had a dream that night that God is literally telling me that I need to go to India, and this actor is going to be my savior and I need to marry him, which sounds absurd and stupid and ridiculous at the moment, at my age and in hindsight. But that's what happened. I had a dream, and I started rummaging for a suitcase when I woke up and ended up in India somehow, and ended up doing 12 to 13 movies with the biggest actors there. I mean, I acted opposite Om Puri ji, and who's passed away, unfortunately. He's one of the best actors. It's an honor to be in the same frame with him, let alone play a lead opposite him. It was amazing. I mean, I worked with a lot of big actors. It was an experience, but I also saw the dark side of Bollywood. And just like life, we have there's dark and there's good. The same way in any industry, be it the stock market. I mean, all these Wall Street guys go around snorting cocaine all the time. So, I mean, there's a dark side to everything. Like I said, wherever there are human beings, there's going to be malice, there's going to be crimes, there's going to be violence, there's going to be rage. And I mean, look at Osho. Look, that was supposed to be a sanctuary. That was supposed to be a place where you find peace and love. And that turned out to be a big orgy fest. I mean, think about it. That's what Osho was. So, human beings are very complex, and what goes on, it's like 1984, the book I read in college, which I was supposed to read in high school, but like I said, I dropped out. But it's like 1984, the book that said, there's no thought police. If we were able to grasp and get people's thoughts and what they were thinking, I don't think any of us would talk to anyone, because I think there's a lot of hypocrisy in the world, and I think that the minute the person is not in the room, that's the person that's being spoken about in a poor manner. They're gossiping about that person, and I've seen that personally happen again and again and again in Bollywood. And within my actresses, they call them actors now, but my actresses friends, it was the same thing. The actors did the same thing, and then they were buddy buddy, toward each other, which is why I spoke up for Faisal, because I think what happened to Faisal was, I don't even have the words to what happened to Faisal. I don't even know how to describe it. It was so horrible. to have someone that's your own blood deceive you, but it's believable. I've had family members do that to me, where they will, say all these horrible things about me, but they will follow me quietly under a pseudonym and see what I'm up to. So if you hate me so much, why are you following me? Why are you seeing what my next move is? Why are you so curious about my life? Obviously, there's an iota of jealousy that's stemming, these kind of actions. But what happened to Faisal is horrible. That's why I took a stand because no one else did. I took a stand for Aryan when he got involved. Unfortunately, when he was sent to jail or he was questioned, I'm not sure what exactly happened, but I thought that since the kid was born in front of me, he was like 2 or 3 years old. And I know Gauri, Shah wife. She used to be at Salman's house all the time because she's Salman's sister's very close friend. I thought it was incumbent upon me to speak up and to say something in Aryan's defense and in Faisal's defense, even though I know that Faisal had said some not so nice things about me, but that's none of my business. Just because someone speaks ill of me and they are being deceived and deemed crazy and mad and mentally unstable, but they're not, and they're of sound mind. It is my duty to speak up for them. That's how I see the world. I don't care what anyone says about me. It's none of my business. But if I see that that person is needs justice, like Aryan, Guardian Shahruk's son, or Faisal, I will speak up. Even today, it could be or anyone. I don't care, except one individual, and I don't even think it's worthy of taking his name. But outside of that, I would speak up for anyone who needs or seeks justice because no one else will. What if no one else will? I will, 100%.
Now, you've attended three film schools, including NYU. You've earned a master's degree in psychology. You've studied broadcast journalism. I mean, you've got more credentials than most journalists do in either country, either the US or India. What do you think is happening in Indian journalism? I mean, there's no real investigative journalism that I can see. And I mean, any comments there? It's almost like the journalists there are just rubber stamping what the PR people are publishing.
Well, I've been very fortunate. I have a publicist in India. His name is Prashant Galocha, and his team is absolutely amazing. And I got very lucky. A lady by the name of Charul Malik, whom I met because she interviewed me and she introduced me to Prashant, and I owe her and always will owe her for that and thank her for that because Prashant is a wonderful human being. His team is wonderful. They're exceptionally intellectual, exceptionally well read, exceptionally intelligent. And they have actually scruples and a moral compass. So I lucked out. But outside of that, there are those dirty journalists. See, what I learned in being in Bollywood, or the Hindi cinema is the correct term, not Bollywood, but in the Hindi cinema, what I learned is that there are camps of actors and there are camps of journalists that belong to those actors. So let's say, for hypothetically speaking, let's say Amir Khan has a journalist that will be his friend, and if Amir Khan, let's say hypothetically speaking, does something wrong, that journalist's job is to turn it around and change the story, change the script, for lack of a better term, change the script totally. And same goes with Shahrukh or Akshay or any other actor. That they all have these entourages and these camps that they belong to, the journalists, and that they favor a certain specific actor, and every actor and female actor also has these journalists that will do whatever that actor, if the actor has done something wrong, the actor will address the journalist, confide in them, and then the journalist's job is to turn it around and make it look good. And it's called damage control, right? So
Wow.
that's been going on since I was there, and I was there when I was 16 till almost 25. I turned 25 when I came back to America, but that's what I saw, and I saw that from Salman to Shahrukh to Akshay to Amir to female actresses, all of them had these journalists that would essentially, if you ask them to jump, they would say how high. And that's still continuing and going on. Otherwise, why would Simi and the other guy, or Javel, whatever his name is, say all those horrible things about me? They don't even know me. And all of these trolls, they don't know me. They don't know Salman, Amir, Shahrukh, Akshay, Manisha, Ravina, Tabu. I mean, I actually know them and I met them. I spent time with these people. So these trolls, when they make these comments that are so painful and so malicious, it defies logic for me. And then that you guys don't know these people, you drool and salivate over them, and yet you are so hardcore in your beliefs that these people can do no wrong, that you will belittle the crime and the criminal. I mean, the person who the crime has been committed against, you will belittle that human being, be it a man or a woman or a child, and take their side rather than blaming the person who's committed the crime. So there's a lot of victim blaming that's still going on in 2025, and I don't see it dissipating anytime soon, honestly.
Well, maybe you can be the champion for a new type of journalism with real investigative journalism, or dare I say, maybe a talk show. I've heard you're thinking about something called the uncomfortable conversation. Why
Yes.
the title?
Well, because I think talk shows are rehearsed, from Stephen Colbert to Jimmy Fallon to all these late night talk shows, Kimmel, they're all rehearsed. I don't want to have a talk show that's rehearsed. I want to have a banter when I have a talk show, and I've called it the uncomfortable conversation because these kind of conversations that I want to have with my guests on my talk show are gonna be uncomfortable. And but why not? Why not talk about, if you're a victim of domestic violence, why not talk about it and try to bring changes in the policy? Why not change the policy where the victims aren't blamed and the perpetrators, the predators, don't keep going away scot-free like they haven't done anything? So I want to have that banter. I don't want to have a question answer. No, you ask me what you want and I'll ask you what I want. That's why it's the uncomfortable conversation. So I wouldn't really call it the typical stereotypical talk show. I want it to be the uncomfortable conversation, and I want people to come on the show and bear their all, be themselves, drop the hypocrisy for once in your life and just be yourself and talk about something that makes you uncomfortable. I mean,
Well,
not. I'm ready to do it.
well, I can admit we've had no exchange beforehand about what topics I'm going to ask you. So this is truly, like you said, this is truly unscripted.
Right.
Now, you mentioned policy changes a minute ago. What policy change would you want government, especially in South Asia or even here in the US, given social media and its role in influencing people or maybe creating misconceptions or even enticing young girls to come for jobs that don't exist? How would you implement or try to get legislation or policy changes immediately to protect women, children, and the LGBTQ community?
Well, I'm trying through my nonprofit. I've been trying for 18 years, but it has to start at the very top. If the very top is corrupt and the very bottom is corrupt, because the top tells them to be corrupt, and the bottom has no choice because the bottom is underpaid and has to feed their family, and they have to listen to their corrupt top, the boss, and uh, it's going to be hard to make changes in policies, and the perpetrators and the predators are going to keep getting away scot free. Like Mike Tyson is going to be on a show, and there's another guy who's hosting a show that's committed crimes, and then there's another guy some businessman or someone that you mentioned that is going to be on some show. I forget what his name is, but um,
Yeah, it
there's
was Ashneer Grover in Rise and Fall.
Yeah, what did he do exactly?
It's alleged, because it's an FIR, so he's not convicted, but it's alleged that his previous company he founded, there was some scam of fake receipts that he had his wife as a comptroller approve, with fake receipts that were done by the brother-in-law. And apparently the brother-in-law is in jail for that. And so there's some definite fraud, and these are in the order of $10 million plus. And yet he's literally hosting a TV show. Imagine that.
Wow. Uh, and like I said, uh, people are either unaware, they don't want to listen, and that's a big part of human beings also that I've noticed is that people don't like to listen. Everyone wants to I'm very sad about the loss of Matthew Perry, and I had never watched Friends, and I started watching it, because I was in India when it was a big deal. It started in 1994, and I was in India, and I was doing three shifts a day working on three movies in one day, and I had never watched Friends, and I didn't think I would like the humor, but then I started watching it. I heard his book, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. And it's just really, really sad because it's just, it's people don't listen. And, in his audible version of Matthew Perry's book, he says, people cheat. They deceive you. They lie to you. They always want something. They always have an agenda. And I agree. He's no more, but I agree with every word that he said. People cheat, they lie, they have an agenda. They come to you with a motive. They have an agenda, and they deceive you, and they always want something from you. And there are very few people that are really, really in the true sense that you would call a person who has no motivation and wants nothing from you. There are very few people. I mean, I'm not one of them. I want people to donate to my organization so I can save more lives. So I also come with an agenda. I promote No More Tears. I promote my nonprofit in order to save more lives. So I appeal to people in the public, that please donate to No More Tears so I can go out and save more lives, because I don't take a salary, a dollar for what I do. So all the money goes to the victims, and hence after that we turn them into survivors. The transformation begins once they're under our care. But people, they don't listen. We don't have we have this habit of just talking about ourselves. That's the first thing that we do. We talk about ourselves, and we go on and on and on. And people need to learn and get educated on the art of being able to really listen, take in what the other person is feeling, their pain. There's a huge difference between being sympathetic and empathetic. Sympathy is like just looking at something that's bad and saying, "Oh God, that's so sad," and just walk away. Empathy is when you feel the person's pain. For example, if I'll be honest with you. I was a victim of sexual abuse when I was a child, and if I meet with or rescue a child that was sexually abused, I can empathize with that child because I was in that position at a very young age. So that's called empathy. Sympathy is just saying, oh God, just doing, oh God, that's so sad, and then just walking away. No, get involved, help. If the higher power, God, universe, if you're spiritual, if you're religious, whatever you believe in, or even if you don't believe in, I'm sure you believe in being a good person. If you have a good moral compass, do something about it. Listen to the person, empathize with the person. Don't just sympathize and walk away. That's not what we're supposed to do. We're all in this together. And remember, no matter what, one thing is certain, we're all going to be gone. In the next 30, 40 years, I'm going to be gone. I mean, I'm going to be 50 soon. So I'm going to be gone. We're all going to be gone. So people need to really realize that and understand that we're here for a very short period of time. And, like Chintuji, whom I got really close to during a photo shoot, and he told me that please look for Raj Kiran because you're from America, and I spent $15,000 of my mother's money incrementally borrowing it from her to pay private investigators. And to date, I haven't found Raj Kiran. And now have come to the conclusion that he doesn't want to be found. He probably doesn't want to be found because what happened to Faisal is what happened to Raj Kiran. His own brother did that to him, I think. I know his ex-wife did that to him. His children did that to him. So that's why he doesn't want to be found. I don't blame him. But people need to listen and empathize and care.
Now, speaking about the uncomfortable conversation, do you believe India and the world is ready for conversations that make them squirm?
Not at all. No, not at all. I think uh, people in I don't know, I don't remember much of Pakistan because I was there as a child. I mean, I was 9 years old, almost 10, 9 and a half or 10 when I moved to America. I don't remember much of Pakistan, but there's not much difference. There was no Pakistan before the partition. And, having said that, technically we're all Indians. Pakistan was built and separated and segregated, which was the biggest mistake, whoever the politicians were that made that decision and took that decision to where it led to thousands and thousands of deaths. And it was the worst decision in the world. We wear the same clothes, we speak the same language, we watch the same movies. We're all one people. We were all Indian. There was no Pakistan. But coming back to your question about India, Indians are not ready. I've tried. I've nudged a couple of actors whom I'm still in contact with to try and get them to be on my uncomfortable conversation, but they scare away. They get scared and they don't want to be a part of that. And I don't think that there's anyone outside of a post that I read of someone I look up to greatly, and that is Zinat Aman. Zinat, she used to be my neighbor in Mumbai. I lived on Mount Mary Road in Mumbai, and she lived opposite my apartment building, and with her husband at the time, who's passed away. But she's someone I speak to through WhatsApp now and then. But she did a post not too long ago on her Instagram, and she talked about how challenging her days were when people deemed her, I mean, a legendary icon like Zeenat Aman. The world deemed her to be a has-been is indescribably painful for me. I can't imagine what she felt. But yet her post was so beautiful, and she thanked the organizers who invited her to judge certain contests, beauty contests, or to be a guest to cut a ribbon. And she said that's how she survived and raised her two sons through making social appearances and getting paid for them. So she's someone that I really look up to, and I think she's very, very intellectual, highly educated. Um, and she is a wonderful human being and has been through unimaginable challenges, and yet she's an icon. And I have the utmost respect for her and always will. She's someone that I believe is of the caliber intellectually who would understand and ascertain what um, when someone is BSing you and when someone is being real. And I think she's seen a lot in her lifetime and experienced a lot, good and bad. And I salute her for being a survivor and for just going through the challenging times. And now she's doing so well with her Instagram, and she's actually on a web series called The Royals. And outside of Zenith, I don't really, I can't think of anyone that I look up to as far as India is concerned. But to answer your question again, India is not ready to have the uncomfortable conversation. They're not even ready to have the comfortable conversation, let alone uncomfortable, because there's a lot of hypocrisy and lies. And unless and until people stop that and change that within themselves, no one can make them do that. No one can make me do something. I choose to do things. Of course, after the age of 25, I chose and made choices that I wanted to pursue an education and go all the way up to where I went to and obtained a gazillion degrees. I even went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting and got a degree in broadcasting from there. I mean, people aren't aware of that, but I did that as well. So I've always wanted to get into someone's psyche and their real heart and soul and ask them questions from that place. But I'm unable to get those kind of people because I don't see anyone like that. They're all everyone's fake it till you make it, and soon you realize that every single one of us is doing the same thing, faking it till we make it. And then you just, you shrug your shoulders and you say, well, hopefully one day someone will be like ready and willing to be real and actually authentic, because there's this huge void of people being authentic.
Speaking of which, if you had one dream guest to have a conversation with, living or dead, would it be Praveen Bobby? Like, who would that be?
It would definitely be Praveen Bobby. Absolutely. Because I think that Praveen Bobby, I don't care if you had to put her in a straitjacket. She needed to be in an institution where she could have gotten medication for paranoid schizophrenia, which is what she suffered from. And that's what my education teaches me. I happened to meet her, but I was too young. I was only 16. It was at the Holiday Inn in Mumbai, and she was not right. And I could tell, even at 16, I could tell as a ninth grade dropout of high school, I could tell something was off with her in the way she was speaking. But I didn't have the knowledge or the wherewithal to help her. But I think that people, grown-ups at the time, she passed away, I believe, in 2005, but I could be wrong on the date, but the year, I think it's 2005. But the point is that you could put her in a straitjacket, get her on a stretcher if that's what it takes to get her in an institution. If you care about her that much, don't abandon her in an apartment in her flat for 4 days and having the milk guy leave milk bottles outside her flat, and one of her leg has gangrene and she's dying of being infected. And apparently the post after they did the autopsy, they found out she had not eaten in 4 days. There was alcohol bottles laying around all next to her. I mean, is this she was the first person in 1973 to be on the cover of Time magazine in a bikini, and she was absolutely gorgeous and stunning. And she was an excellent actress. She was absolutely drop dead gorgeous. She was talented. She was well educated. She came from a good family. And what was her end? She was left alone for a lot. People abandoned her. What happened to Matthew Perry? What was his mental disorder? He says he was abandoned and neglected by his own family and friends. That's what happened to Perveen Bobby. So she's someone that I would like to, once she's given, I wish I could go back in time and I had the knowledge that I have now. I had it then when I was 16, and I would get her that help and forcefully get her into a mental institution and get her the paranoid schizophrenia medication and make her function, at least function, because those medications help you, and they actually help you function no matter what disorder you have. There are medications for every disorder. And unfortunately, no one cared enough. Every person she was involved in a relationship, or family members or friends, where were they? They were all doing their own thing and deeming her what? Crazy? Mad? Mentally unstable? That's horrific. And it's
Yep.
really sad, and it's a failure of society and the film industry in India. The Hindi cinema film industry has failed to save an icon because they didn't care and they were negligent. And I don't care if they had to force her in a straitjacket and put her in a mental institution, but if you say you cared or you had a relationship, even if it was a past relationship, your duty as a human being is to come back and get her into a mental institution and get her the right correct medication to go on living and functioning a normal life. No one did that. Nobody. They left her and they abandoned her.
That's true. So, last question.
Sure.
When all is said and done, Bollywood, Hollywood, talk shows, TV shows, your NGO, thousands, tens of thousands of people say, 50,000 plus so far. Maybe it'll be 100,000 later on. Your two presidential awards from US presidents, H.W. Bush, Bush Sr., and Obama.
Right.
When all is said and done, what do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for making an effort to save people and speak up for people who don't have a voice or who are screaming yet remain unheard. I want that to be my legacy, that someone who spoke up at the risk of people, being condescending toward her and belittling her. Because the worst thing you can do to a human being, in my opinion, is to make them feel small. That's the worst thing that you can do to another person, is to make them feel that they're worthless and that they're small. And I know this firsthand, unfortunately, through family and some romantic interactions. That's the worst thing that you can do. So I want my legacy to be that I was never shy to speak up for even someone who spoke poorly or badly about me behind my back. And for someone I knew who was 2 or 3 years old at the time when I left India, and I spoke up for him. And I didn't do it because I wanted some accolade. I don't care for accolades. I want to be remembered for someone who was never shy to speak up for others and save lives. That's my legacy. I'm not a saint. I've I've made many mistakes. I've never said I'm a saint. I'm not a saint by any means. I have made trillions of mistakes, but who hasn't? What human being has not made mistakes? Do I regret them? No, because in that time and point in time, I was a teenager or a young adult, 20, 21. I was still, I was still trying to understand life, and a lot of life was brought in front of me that wasn't supposed to. I wasn't supposed to be exposed to many things that I was. So that's what I want my legacy to be, that someone who spoke up for people who were screaming yet remain unheard. And that's it.
Wow. You're going to be the champion for the underdog. So that's amazing. So Somi, thank you. That was raw, unfiltered, and powerful, just like you. This
Thank you so
AMA
much.
proves why the uncomfortable conversation is exactly the kind of dialogue the world needs right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.